Everyone wants to win. Everyone says they want to change, to grow, to evolve, to level up. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. That's where you are right now. Not where you want to be, where your habits have dragged you. If you're tired, unmotivated, behind, if you keep repeating the same patterns, if your goals feel further every day, it's not because you're broken. It's because your habits are. You've built systems that are perfectly designed to keep you stuck, to keep you small, to keep you tired, distracted, soft, broke, and reactive. You say you want success, but your habits say you want comfort. You say you want discipline, but your actions scream laziness. You say you're chasing a better life, but your routines are built for survival, not for greatness. And that disconnect, that gap between who you say you want to be and how you actually live, that's where the frustration comes from. That's where the self-doubt grows. That's why you feel like you're always chasing something you can never catch. Your habits are failing you, and until you change them, nothing else will change. Most people think habits are just small tasks, little behaviors. Wake up early, drink water, hit the gym. But it goes deeper than that. Your habits shape who you are. They are who you are. If you constantly snooze your alarm, you're not just someone who sleeps in. You're someone who avoids responsibility. If you say you'll start tomorrow, you're not just procrastinating. You're practicing avoidance, reinforcing that you're someone who breaks promises to yourself. If you eat like trash, scroll for hours, skip the gym, you're not just off track. You're teaching yourself that comfort matters more than progress. And over time, those patterns, they don't just affect your goals, they become your identity. That's why it's so hard to change. Because when you try to level up, you're not just fighting distractions. You're fighting the version of yourself you've trained to be. So the question isn't, what should I start doing? It's deeper. Who do I need to become? What kind of person shows up regardless of how they feel? What kind of person does the work without needing motivation? What kind of person keeps promises to themselves, even when no one's watching? If your habits don't reflect that person, they're not habits. They're anchors, pulling you down, holding you back. And until you rewire that identity, you'll keep failing. Not because you're weak, but because your habits are built for who you were, not who you're trying to become. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of future you're creating. The problem is, most people don't even realize what they're voting for. They think skipping one workout doesn't matter. Eating like trash for a day won't hurt. Spending the evening scrolling instead of studying is just a break. But here's the truth. Nothing you do is neutral. It's either pushing you forward or it's pulling you backward. Every time you choose the easy option, you're not just wasting time. You're casting a vote to stay exactly where you are. And it adds up. Over weeks, over months, over years. It compounds. That's why success doesn't show up overnight. Neither does failure. You build it, brick by brick, through what you repeatedly do. You think you're stuck because life's unfair, because opportunity hasn't come, because your situation is holding you back. But it's not that. It's your habits. It's your votes. It's your repeated decisions when no one's watching. Every time you make a lazy choice, you strengthen the identity of a lazy person. Every time you avoid the work, you prove to yourself that pressure breaks you. Every time you escape into distractions, you build a weaker mind. On the other hand, every disciplined action compounds too. Every workout you push through, every book you study, every late night of focused work, every time you shut down distractions and lock in, you build momentum, you build identity, you build power. The compound effect is real. The only question is it working for you or against you? Because whether you realize it or not, you're becoming someone. Right now, every day, with every habit. So what are you becoming? You want to know why your habits are failing you? Why you stay stuck in the same cycles, even when you say you want to grow? It's because you're addicted to comfort. You've trained yourself to avoid anything that feels hard, anything that requires discipline, anything that forces discomfort. But here's the truth you don't want to hear. Nothing great is built in comfort. Growth is uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. Discipline, consistency, sacrifice, uncomfortable. But so is regret. So is feeling stuck. So is looking back and realizing you wasted years running from the hard stuff. And right now, your habits are wired for comfort, not for greatness, not for mastery, not for anything that demands your higher self. You hit snooze because it's easier than facing the day. You eat trash because it's easier than learning control. You scroll because it's easier than creating. You quit because it's easier than fighting. Comfort is killing your future. You think you're protecting your peace, but really you're sacrificing your potential. Every time you choose comfort, you reinforce the idea that the hard path isn't worth it. And every time you do that, you become weaker. Mentally, physically, spiritually. You don't need a new strategy. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another chance. You need to get uncomfortable, on purpose. Wake up earlier than you want to. Train when it's the last thing you feel like doing. Work in silence while others play. Sacrifice the weekend. Turn off the distractions. Sit with the boredom and do the reps anyway. Because the life you want, it's buried under everything you're avoiding. And until you're ready to get uncomfortable, you're not ready to change. So stop choosing the easy path. That's the path everyone else is on. And look where it leads. Mediocrity, regret, a life half-lived. You want more? Then get uncomfortable and stay there. Look around your life right now. Your body, your mindset, your bank account, your energy, your results. Everything you see is the reflection of one thing: your standards, not your dreams, not your intentions, your standards. You don't get what you want, you get what you tolerate. And if your life is stuck, it's because your standards are too low. You've made it acceptable to skip the gym, to waste time, to eat garbage, to be tired all the time, to be disorganized, reactive, lazy, to break promises to yourself and call it just a rough week. That's not a rough week. That's your standard. And that standard is shaping your entire life. Because your habits always rise or fall to meet your standards. Want to level up? Then raise what you accept. Make discipline your minimum. Make effort non-negotiable. Make follow-through your identity. Make being intentional your default. Make self-respect the rule, not the reward. That's when your life starts to shift. Not when you get a lucky break. Not when you find the perfect plan. Not when motivation magically returns. But when you decide, I will no longer tolerate the version of me that plays small. When you decide, this is my new standard, and nothing less is acceptable. That's the shift. Not in results, in identity, in the way you carry yourself, in the way you operate when no one's watching. You want real success? then stop chasing outcomes and start elevating your expectations. Because until you change your standards, your habits will stay weak, and your future will stay out of reach. People fantasize about big moments, that one chance, that one opportunity, that dramatic rise where everything changes overnight. But that's not how it works. You don't suddenly level up in the moment. You don't magically become ready when pressure hits. You default to your preparation. You fall to your habits. When life tests you, you fall to the systems you've built, the mindset you've trained, the discipline you've enforced when no one was watching. Want to know why you keep folding under pressure? Why you keep falling short when things get real? It's not because you lack talent. It's because you haven't trained your habits to carry the weight. You're showing up to war with no armor. You're entering the game hoping instincts will save you. But instincts are built through repetition, through obsession, through relentless, boring, disciplined effort. The late nights no one saw, the early mornings when it hurt, the days you showed up when your emotions begged you not to, the representatives, the silence, the grind. That's where you win. Not when the lights are on, but long before. You want to thrive when it counts? Then stop treating your habits like they're optional. Because when pressure hits, it's too late to build them. You will always fall to your systems, your rituals, your discipline. So ask yourself, when pressure hits, do my habits carry me or crush me? Do they keep me grounded or do they give out? Do they move me forward or do they betray me? Because if you're falling short, it's not a failure of the moment. It's a failure of the preparation. Build habits that keep you sharp. Build habits that keep you calm under pressure. Build habits that win the fight before it starts. And when the big moment comes, you won't have to rise. You'll already be there. If your life isn't where you want it to be, look at your habits, not your goals, not your intentions, your habits. Because they're either building you or breaking you. Fix the habits, and everything changes.